I think my success is the fact that I just tried some weird shit and it worked out. My name is Nuge, and I'm an artist with a focus on wood.
Thank you for joining me on the Proper Job podcast.
Thanks for having me on. I think anyone in a wood shop has the capability of shaping wood. I think what makes my work unique is just like the overall aesthetic. The process itself is nothing original. I laminate all of my wood together to get the thickness. I glue the pieces together. I trim off the edges. And that's how I get like my blank canvas. And from there, I sketch on my designs, and like similar to how a painter might reference a photograph when they're painting, I'll reference this piece of fabric while I'm carving. So I'll have the fabric reference. I'll make sketches onto the panel to have like reference points. I'll carve it. I go through 2 rounds of carving where I gouge the material, and then the second round of carving where I give it shape and massage it into place more. And then I go through 3 rounds of sanding where I use an orbital sander. And then after that, I hand sand just to make sure that I've gotten all of the hard lines out. And from there, I do the finished job depending on what type of finish that I want.
What was the thing with woodworking? Where did that idea come from?
So to be honest, it was weird. I had it in my head. I had 2 options. I was either going to start painting, or I was going to get in the wood shop and start making furniture and art. I joined a wood shop, and I had never been in a wood shop before. I took this like 2-day course on how to make cutting boards. And it's like from that moment, I was hooked. So basically that was the next 2 years for me. I feel like extremely proud of every single thing that I've made, because I truly believe that everything that I've made is a stepping block. Like I had to make the cutting boards in order to get to the clocks. I had to make the clocks to get to the coffee tables. And like all of this is to lead to my first art piece finally. And I don't think that it's possible for me to have started with an art piece from the get-go, because for me, that felt like $1 million idea. And I don't think ideas can exist on their own. Like it has to come from something that you've previously done.
So, how are you finding your clients at the start?
The most successful thing that I've done, and this is also the thing that scares people the most, is that I share all of my process. There's like no secrets to what I do at all. And like people, like other artists, they shy away from sharing secrets because they don't want other people copying them. But my take on it is that if people want to copy you, they're going to figure out a way anyway. So I beat them to the punch. Like I'm showing the process to my work. And in doing so, I'm attracting a lot of other designers and artists who are trying to find inspiration and pretty much like blueprints on how to make work similar to mine. So sharing all that process has really helped build an audience of people who want to learn tips and tricks of the trade.
So the idea of this is to make a piece of wood look like fabric.
Yeah. So yes, that's like the foundation of my work. But like everything that I've done since may not resemble fabric anymore, but it's derived from my older work. So like everything has been just like little evolution steps from that point. But I think like what helped me in my process was the fact that I never went to school for this. So like I think my take on this manipulation of wood is a little bit refreshing, because I would love to say that my style is unique, and when people look at my work that they know it's a Nuge piece. So I think it's helped me that I don't follow a school of thought, because there are like the art critics in school that you sit with and they tell you like, oh, like, no, don't do this. This would look bad, or don't do this because most people wouldn't do that. There's these people out there telling you what's good, what's bad, like, don't try this. So I didn't have any of those rules in my head. I just tried weird things, and I've done a lot of things that I think wood purists would hate. Like the fact that I paint my wood, that I use colors, like all like I know all of these like wood purists are looking at my work and they're like, oh, what a jackass. But in a way, me being a jackass and doing something that's different from the norm, I think that makes my work stand out.
Given that your past experiences, when someone says you can't do it, that kind of just spurs you on more.
Oh yeah, definitely. When someone tells me that I can't do it or that I shouldn't do something, I'm like, wow, well, like screw that. Like I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna prove to them that it is possible to do something like that. I'm not at a point in my career where I know that I'm set for life. And I think that there's very few artists who can say that. And it's like with that pressure, it's also exciting. I love the pressure of having to perform, but it's taxing because it's also the mental toll of constantly questioning if your work is good enough and how people are going to perceive it. It's constantly like looking for validation, which sucks because I would probably be making this stuff whether people liked it or not. But I do rely on people liking my work in order to have a living and make money. So there's like a balance in there, and I don't know. So far it's fared me well.
What kind of career advice would you have hoped someone had given you when you were younger then, mate? What kind of advice you wish you'd received?
I already take this to heart. Take as many risks as you can. I think that no risk, no reward. If I didn't take all of the risks that I have, then I wouldn't have ended up with a business that stands out.
Nuge, thank you very much for joining me today.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Nice one, bro.